Alright, welcome to Special Edition, episode something. Today we're going to take a look at the Tail series. I got special guest Chris Hoiberg of Instagram fame and glory. We are celebrating his 100th O store this weekend, but I decided I wanted to do like a video while we're here, and since I didn't have any of these, but I really wanted to do a video on them, he had all three, so he brought them down, and we're going to do this at the 11th hour after 2 full days of HQ and O stores and stuff. So, alright, so what we have is we have 3 of the 4 frames. The 4th one is the tail back, which we haven't seen in stores. I've seen it on the Sunglass Hut site and not really anywhere else. So I don't know if it's coming out later, if it's just a limited thing overseas, Sunglass Hut only, I'm not sure. But these are the 3 main ones that we have, which are basically broken down into 2 aviator styles, sort of like a traditional one, a more squared off one, and then sort of the Mad Science edition. And the cool thing is I actually saw some protos of these about a year ago, and the thing I noticed was that each of them had the same stems, which basically allowed Oakley to use a lot of the parts over again, but then just change the orbitals. So that way, in order to make one that was a little out there, a little bit kind of the Mad Science design, they didn't have to sacrifice all the parts by creating that. So basically they were able to just make the orbitals, reuse all the parts, and then they didn't have as much overhead creating the crazy piece because they're already using the custom parts or the stock parts in the rest of the other ones. Alright, so what do we have here? We've got the
Tailpin,
tailhook,
and the Tailend.
Tailend. Alright, so you kind of gave me a little mnemonic in order to remember which one was which, because I know Tailend, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so when these first came out, there was a lot of confusion between the shapes of the orbitals and which one was which. So I came up with a really easy mnemonic. The Tailpin pin has 3 letters, shorter orbital at the bottom. Hook, 4 letters, longer, squared off bottoms, and then Tailend, the end game, the round orbitals.
All right. So I'm gonna use my own video now to remember these in the future, because there's so many models nowadays. I'm trying to keep everything straight in my head. So obviously the one I was most interested in, even when I saw the early 3D printing version of it about a year ago, was the Tailend. I've been waiting a long time for round orbitals to come back in stock, or back in style. Really, up until this point, we've had Mars, Moon, over the top, Medusa. I mean, we're really reaching to get those round frames. So this is the first time in a while. We actually get 2 in 1 year. We get the Madman, and then we get the Tailend. So if you want to put one on, just everyone likes to see them on, so you can kind of get a feeling how they look on your face. First of all, very light. The spring hinge definitely helps. There's really no pressure. Looking at the stems here, you do notice that they do curve in a lot on either one of them. But that spring hinge pretty much alleviates all of that. It's got a sturdy fit to it, but there's enough flex there, so as soon as you put them on, you don't feel any pressure on your face. So even though there's just a narrow gap, really not a problem. But the spring hinges do keep them secure on your face, so they really do stay on there. So I don't really feel like these are going to fall off at any point. They definitely feel nice and sturdy. Now there are a few differences. Now mainly I said that the orbitals were differed on this pair versus those, and that's not just the shape of the lens. The entire nose bridge of the Tailend is more of a fused metal, but the main difference is it has the very old style wire nose bombs on this. Whereas these ones, basically the old style had sort of the nose bomb going through a very small hole in the wire, whereas these ones, the entire nose bomb has a wire going around it, and then there's actually sort of a gel pad, a very soft gel pad on these, so when you put them on your nose, it kind of cushions before it really gets that grip, whereas these ones are just kind of the flat plastic, or the flat rubber. And you said you were having a problem when you first tried those on because someone in the store had bent them so far out of whack that when you put them on, they just really couldn't get back into shape.
The first time I tried them on, the nose pads were pushed so far back that there was such a huge gap between the top of the lens and my eyebrow, and they looked awful. And I immediately put them back down on the shelf. I'm like, yeah, this is probably not going to happen. And then finally my home bunker got them in, And we tried it again. I was like, okay, well, I was hoping for Prism Daily with those, and they got the ice iridium in, so I put those on and immediately noticed that they sat higher up, and that's when I started looking at the nose pads a little bit more. I'm like, oh, okay, someone had really messed with these, and it was at a vault, and it was a high volume vault, which makes sense. Those glasses get worked over pretty good sitting on the shelves there.
Yeah, you got the open air cases now, so anyone can just try them on, and some of them get a little rough after a while. All right, so which one? I mean, you have all three, so obviously you like them, but which one is your your go-to?
My go-to, positive red iridium. And
is that for the lens or for the shape, or just kind of all the above, or
the lens? It goes both ways. I mean, I love the squared off lens, but the positive iridium has always been my go-to.
Is that mainly for cycling or running?
Cycling. I'm always driving a lot. So it's picks up the contrast for what I'm doing, and was primarily my cycling lens too.
With all the love Ruby gets, I always felt like on positive red always had like a better color to it too, and it's like everyone's like, oh, Ruby's fading to orange or yellow, but positive red always had that nice purple red.
Yeah.
Never failed. I mean, especially on a flatter lens.
And I like coordinating my lenses with the shirts I wear, and the positive red will go purple, it'll go pink, it'll stay red. Mm-hmm. It's like that chameleon of the lens.
Yeah.
Different angles it picks up.
Yeah. The only weird thing I found is just sort of the pigtail look of the stem.
The twist.
The twist. Yeah. I mean, Oak called it a pigtail twist. It's an interesting design choice, to say the least. Not opposed to it, just kind of something different. It's almost like they just took a piece of metal and just kind of twisted it over and then made a mold of it and cast the rest of it. But
it adds a little bit of character to the sides of it.
Yeah, definitely does. I mean, you see someone on it, it's like, even from the side, you know what pair they're wearing.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess the last thing, something interesting I didn't even know, you said that there's actually a way to sort of, these don't have accessory lenses. I never see these having accessory lenses, but should something go wrong with the lens, you will need a replacement. You sort of found a way to easily take the lens off without any hardware or anything like that.
You can easily pull these back, and the lenses actually have cutouts in them where they're being grabbed by both sides of the frame, and then it connects across the top. And they'll pop out, and just like that. I mean, the lens is out. Makes it easy to clean too. My skin's naturally oily, so at the end of the day, I have to clean off my lenses. I can't just put them in, put them away and say, okay, I'll just clean them at the end of the week. I need to clean them up immediately. So this makes it a lot easier for me to just do maintenance on my lenses at the end of the day, and the oils just rub right off.
Yeah. So on the back of these glasses, they look like they're rimless, like the Y series or something like that, but really they're not. The rim is all, I mean, really it's a half rim. It's all on the back, so for impact protection, the lens is really pushing up against the whole frame, which is supporting most of this. And then really it's just those little grabbers that keep it from falling out altogether.
Yeah, and I haven't had a problem. I haven't had a lens fall out yet. Yeah. And you'll see that beveling, the shading around there, it hides the frame.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's just sort of a quick overview of the Tail series. And yeah, I definitely I haven't had a chance to pick these up yet. I've just had too much on my plate and too little money to work with, so I've been concentrating on a few other things at the moment. But these are definitely on my wish list, my very, very long wish list. But I'll definitely get one eventually. Tailend's always going to be the first on my list, and then we'll see what I can do about the rest. Because I love aviators. I've been hitting the deviations, and just recently got the ballistic crosshair. So I do love the aviators, but the round ones are just definitely high on my list too.
And these are super light. That's really what I like. I mean, these two I can wear daily without any fatigue. Mm-hmm. The Tailends, they take a little bit of tweaking, getting those nose pads just in the right place. Mm-hmm. But the Tailend is the one that truly reminds me of the old wires.
Yeah.
Back in the day with the nose bridge, stretch line, across the bridge there.
It's funny. Just one final note. I did post a picture on Instagram where I was looking at these. I'm like, you know what? These are the closest things we'll ever have to the the 03s that Dennis Rodman wore in Double Team. And just to prove the point, I actually had a picture of both him and these ones, and he was wearing a pair of zeros, but what they did is they took the frosted outer lens of the 03, which had the frosted lens, and they put in like an isiridium or like a blue mirror center of it. So they did look very similar, so it was almost like he kind of had a spiritual successor to that pair, which will never see the light of day. Alright, well, thanks for hanging in there for another one. Hopefully I can get these up soon. I definitely have a bunch more on my hard drive, and I haven't had a chance to touch them in months, but I'll definitely try to get some of these up soon. Thanks.
Take care.